Forget about the crowds, the size of the school, their fancy uniforms, and remember what got you here. Focus on the fundamentals that we've gone over time and time again. And most important, don't get caught up thinking about winning or losing this game. If you put your effort and concentration into playing to your potential, to be the best that you can be, I don't care what the scoreboard says at the end of the game, in my book, we're going to be winners.
This is the New Hampshire High School Basketball Show.
This is a second coming. This is a call to arms. Your finest hour won't be wasted.
The New Hampshire High School Basketball Show is brought to you by the New Hampshire State Liquor Commission's Division of Enforcement.
Right now, it's not about talent, it's about heart. It's about who can go out there and play the hardest, who can go out there and play the smartest. Now, they've been here before, so they're not going to give it to us. We got to go out there and we got to take it.
And now your hosts, Pete Terrier.
But I have a question, though. Those two foul shots, the end of the game, did you miss them? Or did you miss them?
Not exactly a soup question, is it?
And Dave Haley from NHSportsPage.com.
All season long, we played our game. Right now, you're playing theirs. When we step on the floor, every second that clock is ticking, we are pedal to the metal. We run the ball. We pressure the ball. And most importantly, we control the tempo of the game.
Well, good morning and welcome to a Championship Saturday edition of the New Hampshire High School Hoop Show. We do it for you live on the radio, two stations here in New Hampshire, the legendary News Radio 610 WGIR and the becoming legendary News Radio 96.7 out on the Seacoast. My name is Pete Terrier, along with my co-host Dave Haley from NHSportsPage.com. Dave, happy Championship Saturday to you.
Yeah, we made it.
We did. We did.
20 games, 21 days has turned into 2 games in one day.
Yeah, and it all comes down to Lundholm Gymnasium.
Today's going to be good.
Yeah, doubleheader action. You got the Division I championship is the main event, I guess you should say. 3 o'clock tip time for that one. D2 boys get it started at high noon. And I think we got great matchups in the championship game this year. We'll talk about that as we go through the course of the program. We'll have 2 of the coaches that are going to be coaching in the championship games today. Jim Mulvey from Portsmouth, the Clippers, the #1 team. They're going to take on Bishop Brady. We'll talk to Coach Mulvey at about 20 past the hour. And then 8:40 or so, Nate Stanton from the Londonderry Lancers. They're the #1 seed. And they're going to take on their rivals, the Pinkerton Astros. That's going to, the Brady-Portsmouth game I'm excited about because I think it's going to be a great game. But this Londonderry-Pinkerton game, just because of what it is, the rivalry, it's going to be kind of quiet in Derry and Londonderry this afternoon. But Durham, it'll certainly be loud, and I'm really looking forward to it.
They get any sort of crowd like they did for that football game, it's going to be unbelievable.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I remember I was at that football game. It was like 5,000 people. I don't think you can squeeze 5,000 into Lundholm. Like 2,300, I believe, is the capacity.
They'll come today. We were teasing the Pinkerton student section, or lack thereof, in the semifinals, but I think they'll bring it out today.
Yeah, there was no one there. There was no one they didn't have a student section.
That was a dead crowd, like, on both sides. It wasn't great. And then that second, Nashua North brought some students, but that Spalding brings them out.
Oh,
that whole town comes out.
Yeah,
Rochester brings it.
It was crazy. So in case you happen to be watching this on the video cast on demand after the fact, because we always, of course, film this thing. John Kesty from NHSportsPage.com brings the video camera in. We film it, and you can watch this whenever. And chances are, if you're watching this, the championship games have already been played. But we got a special guest in studio. Giggles, Isaiah Chappelle from Sunapee, the runner-up in Division IV for Player of the Year. He wants to pursue a future in this business, right, Isaiah? Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. So
he wants to be Pete Terrier.
He wants to be me. I don't know about that.
Nick Macris, who used to play for Central, tweeted out, he's like, Pete Terrier's at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Oh, really?
He tweeted out the other night. I'm like, is Pete Terrier a celebrity?
There was a bunch of kids from Campbell there, and I guess I also found out on Twitter that Drew Coveney was there as well.
Oh,
His
really?
dad tweeted, because he saw that I tweeted that I was there watching some March Madness. But Isaiah, of course, outstanding player. He just finished up his junior season. Sunapee unable to get out of the first round this year. Under 500, not a lot around. He and Matt Tenney, but Isaiah wants to do this stuff in the future. So his mom, Jolene, is also here in studio with us, and he's going to kind of watch the show. And you're more than welcome to jump in and give some opinions. I don't know how much you follow the Division I and Division II stuff, Isaiah, but I'm sure you know a lot of the guys that are playing, maybe playing AAU with these guys. So we definitely want to get your opinion on some of these players and some of these teams. But welcome to the studio, and we hope that this, spearheads you on a great future in sports broadcasting.
Thank you.
It's a lot of fun, I'm telling you. If you can get paid to talk about sports, not a bad gig.
Who you told me you're going to play in the Seacoast tournament? Who are you playing with in the Seacoast tournament?
As of right now, I only know that I'm playing with Walshy because he hasn't really told me the team yet. But
Connor Walsh.
Yeah, I know I'm playing on that team right now.
Is Matt going to play with you?
I think he's playing on a different team. He's trying to put a team together.
That should be a lot of fun. That gets started a week from now. The problem with the New Hampshire Sports Page team in that tournament, and this is a real issue, is if I have Geo Baker, Cody Ball, Brett Hansen, and Joey Martin, how are we going to figure out?
Where are you going to find offense?
How are we going to score? I don't understand. I told Cody and Gio to be nice to each other today.
Maybe we should do a special show, after our show ends. Our final show, the New Hampshire High School Hoop Show, is actually next weekend, next Saturday.
We're going away for a while.
Maybe we'll have to extend it to just do that coverage of the Seacoast.
We're going to come down.
Tournament.
I think we are going to do some of those games on video. I think John or Jen are going to come down. And I was telling Isaiah, those games are so fun because our team last year, we beat Pat Welch's team in the final. It was Pat Welch, Kafani Williams, the Bell brothers. And those games were like 94, 82,
And there's no shot clock.
Down.
Is there a shot clock?
You don't need a shot clock. It's up and down. And it's, these guys, Isaiah as a kid is really going to do well in that kind of like an open kind of, flow like that. So it's a lot of fun. People should come down to that Seacoast tournament and just watch those games. We'll tweet out when the games are, but it's good basketball. There's an all-star team from Maine that comes down. They're huge. We beat them in the first round last year, but they were like 6'7", 6'6", 6'5". Like there's some really, really good teams in that tournament.
All right, so as far as the games go for today, I mean, you got the number 1 seed Portsmouth, once beaten, only lost this year, a road game at Wyndham, and it came a couple of days after their close call at Bishop Brady.
Third
when
game
these
in
two
5
teams,
nights, yeah.
Yeah, these two teams met. We were at the game. We covered the game on nhsportspage.com. It was a tremendous game. It went to overtime. Sean Parham hits a shot at the buzzer, a floater. He had to go coast to coast. Got a great screen from, I believe Coach Mulvey credited Devon Wilson-Miles for setting the craziest screen he's ever seen in his, 9 years coaching Portsmouth, and just cleared the whole right side of the court. He dribbled it up the right side, drove the right baseline, pulled up from 10 feet or so away and sunk it at the buzzer. Brady was devastated after that. They ended up getting the 3rd seed, 4 losses on the regular season. Portsmouth just that 1 loss. I think both teams really kind of cruised in the semifinals the other night. Brady playing a Goffstown team, which I don't want to say they were lucky to be there, but it was a surprise that they were there. When Manchester West lost to St. Thomas in the opening round, that really opened the door, I thought, for Brady on that side of the bracket. Portsmouth, meanwhile, had to contend with a tough Lebanon team. It was a close game. They were actually losing at halftime, and then Portsmouth just ran them in the second half. It was 16-0 run that turned the tide, and the Clippers and Cody Graham, wow. Dave, you were telling me about this kid for a couple years, saying, hey, my son Wade, he's got this player. He's probably the next great player in Portsmouth coming up. He's going to be a freshman next year. And you told me about this kid, and I was like, yeah. All right, he's your buddy, And I know you're an impartial guy and unbiased.
Yeah.
But I was like, man, this kid, how good can he really be? Is he going to see? This kid has been all that and more.
Yeah.
I mean, as a freshman, he does not look it. He definitely doesn't play it. And he is going to be one of the greats in Portsmouth history. And that's saying something.
The funny thing about Cody is that when we I always used to tell him, you're going to be the worst interview in the history of my website, because everything is like, hey, you scored 30 points tonight. How do you feel? That's good. That was a good W for you guys. So, but I said to his dad, I go, you know what, though? Because he's so, flatlined. And the football, he's a tremendous quarterback. He's the starting quarterback next year for Portsmouth.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. So the coach is Johnny Iafola, the offensive coordinator. He said to his father, he goes, "Is this an act?" And Wade, his father, was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Is he this calm? Or is this an act?" He's like, "No, this is the way he is." And I said to his dad, I go, "You know what?" I said this years ago. I go, "When he's sitting on the foul line at Durham with 2,000 people watching, this is when that flat line is going to come in." And we were on the radio, McIsaac, and we're doing the game again today on the radio. But McIsaac said to me, "How do you feel like Cody Graham will do?" And I looked at him, and he was chewing on his mouth guard, and he was just kind of walking around on the floor, I said, he looks like he's just fine.
Kind of like Tom Brady in that first Super Bowl where he gets to the line and he knows he's got to spike it, and he spikes it, and the thing bounces up right into his hand, and he casually catches it, and I'm like, oh, okay, this kid's
he's prepared. He's working really hard. He's done a lot of work with Integrity Hoops, Noah LaRoche, a lot, so his footwork is excellent, and it's going to be fun. The Bell brothers look good in that big floor.
I'll tell you what.
They looked real good.
Jordan Bell, after the game, I asked him, I said, "Hey, man, how'd you like it out here?" And he was just smiling ear to ear. The kid knows how to distribute the basketball, knows when to attack. He is just a phenomenal passer and a phenomenal floor general. And that's going to be a lot of fun watching that matchup. I mean, this is a really, really good matchup in D2 for the championship.
Yeah, this is we sort of said this. I don't know if I said it on the air or I certainly said it off the air, that D2 was a little top heavy, and I said, once we get to that Final Four, to that final Saturday, it's going to be tremendous. I didn't think the first round was going to be all that intriguing. St. Thomas, their coach Dave Soknicki was with me yesterday at our little get together. Yeah, he came by. He's a great guy.
And he's going to coach what? Great Bay Community College? I didn't know they had a team.
Yeah.
Is that a new program or something?
So St. Thomas is going to have a new coach. But this is what we wanted, and you were at that game, that Brady Portsmouth first game, so I feel like the same thing. What's going to be interesting, the adjustments. And, I know Jim Mulvey's watched them a ton. I know he's got some things planned for them, and I'm sure Cole Etten, likewise, will make adjustments as well. But that will be fun to watch.
And the Pinkerton-Londonderry game, I was at that game, too, the regular season. And this is what I remember. Alley-oop to Fox with the monster jam. It happened like 5 times in the game. It was awesome. Isaiah, in Division 4, you don't see a lot of alley-oop jams.
No, not at all.
I know you can get up there and throw one down, but you got to teach Tenny how to feed you for those.
Yeah, we're working on it.
What do you think, Isaiah, the biggest difference is between Division 4 and the level of play you see at D1?
I think probably how big the guys are, how physical they are. I don't think they're as physical in Division 4. They're a lot quicker, a lot faster. It's just a lot more up-tempo game.
We had you guys in our jamboree. Who did we have you guys playing against?
Goffstown.
So you guys played Goffstown.
We played a Final Four team.
And I remember, Matt Tenney had 30-something. You had 30-something. And the rest of your team had none. Did they score any points that game?
I don't think they did. But these two, I wanted to adopt both of them because I was a little worried that this game, Ed Tenney, is a friend of mine, said, and we're struggling in the preseason. I'm like, oh, no. And then these kids came in and rode in and saved the day. That was a fun game.
Yeah.
Isaiah was going nuts that night. And Matt Tenney was tremendous.
Yeah.
They were down by 5, with a minute to go against Goffstown. They were right in it.
Yeah, so. that was a good game. All right, we'll get to a break. No scoreboard today because there were no games last night. The only games left are happening a few hours from now at University of New Hampshire's Lundholm Gym. Noontime tip-off, Portsmouth #1 against #3 Bishop Brady. Then 3 o'clock, it's #1 Londonderry. Unbeaten will be they be doing the We Undefeated dance with me in the locker room after the game. And then Pinkerton, their rivals, 3-loss team on the season. They were the #3 seed in Division 1, so they'll match up. Our game schedule for the day brought to you by our friends at the New Hampshire State Liquor Commission and the Division of Enforcement. Their Buyers Beware campaign reminding all adults it's against the law to provide alcohol to minors. Even if you win a championship today in one of the 2 games at Lundholm Gym, we know you're going to have a party afterwards. We know there's going to be a big celebration, maybe even a police escort once you get into the town, back to the high school. Have fun, enjoy it, celebrate it, cherish it, but don't provide the kids with booze. It's against the law. You can get a huge fine. You could face jail time. Just don't do it,
Man,
please.
You're selling it today.
Enjoy it. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll start our coaches interview segment. We got Jim Mulvey from Portsmouth coming on. his team playing Brady for all the marbles in D2. It is the New Hampshire High School Hoop Show, News Radio 610 and 96.7.
From Manchester West to Winnicott, Central to Somersworth, and Portsmouth to Plymouth, this is the New Hampshire High School Hoop Show on News Radio 610 and 96.7.
Our next guest doesn't have to drive all that far to get to his game site this afternoon. It's a noontime tip, University of New Hampshire's Lundholm Gym for Jim Mulvey and the Portsmouth Clippers taking on the Bishop Brady Giants. We got the coach on the phone right now. Coach, good morning. Happy Championship Day.
Thank you, Peter.
So you guys, I'm sure, will have a large contingent coming from Portsmouth to watch this game against the Brady Giants. And I think after seeing the regular season matchup when you guys played them in Concord, you probably had an inkling at that point, that very night, that, hey, there's a pretty good chance we might see each other down the line.
Yeah, we definitely did. We knew how good they were, and we were just hoping we could get there too.
Coach? What does Bishop Brady do best? You know, probably Jordan Bell with the ball in his hands, but you know, what do you see from them? I know you've watched a lot of film and you've played them already.
Yeah. The big thing is just their transition, both offensively and defensively. You know, even when you're in transition, you know, they're looking to steal the ball, and then when they get the ball, they just push it so well. So I think that's the big thing, and then just the talent they have. You know, the two Bells and Johnson are just, you know, probably the top 6 players in the state and in our division, and then the big kid just does what he's supposed to do. So just a lot of talent.
Coach, when you think back at the game when you played each other, Brendan Johnson really hurt you. I think he had 31 in that game, and he was able to get a lot of open looks on the perimeter. But he's also a player who can drive past the defender and get to the basket, and he can convert at the free throw line when he gets there. Is that something that, you know, you have to pick your poison and stop Jordan Bell first, and, you know, take your chances with the other guys, or is it just a situation where he's a great player and you know, somebody's going to get you from time to time?
Yeah, that was certainly the case there. We decided that's what we were going to do. I don't think that would be the same thing we try to do today, but yeah, I mean, when you have one player, like we played Lebanon the other night, they had 2 kids that you really had to concentrate on, and then we worked it down so there was like 1 kid we had to worry about. When there's 3 kids that can score 30 points on a given night, it's a lot harder to come up with any kind of scheme. So basically, it just comes down to playing our defense, and when we rotate, we better really get there, or it's going to not be good.
So defensively, Sean Parham, I'm guessing, is going to match up on Jordan. You know, I'm sure that's probably the case.
Yeah, it's not, but you know, we got other things we can do, and we'll try to do if we have problems. But he was pretty good on him, you know, especially the second half. That was 2 halves that game. We got killed on the boards in the first half, and then we beat them pretty good on the boards in the second half. So those are the things we went over and over. Is like whoever wins today is going to control the boards, going to limit turnovers, and whoever at the transition, we got to get some points in transition, and we got to limit them to, you know, some reasonable number.
That was the thing when I did the scouting report, and I talked to 3 coaches who did the blind quotes. That was the biggest thing that kept coming up, is that they're very underrated. They rebound pretty well. You wouldn't think they do, but they're a pretty good rebounding team.
Oh yeah, we know that. We know that for sure. Yeah, those kids had 29 rebounds between the 3 of them. That's without the big kid. So yeah, I mean. Yeah, they're athletic. They're like, you know, it's like 3 of our Charlies. You know, Charlie's a 6-foot kid that plays like he's 6'4". He always ends up with 6 to 8 rebounds. They got 3 of those. You know, so it's a big challenge.
You're talking about Charlie LaHoo. It's Jim Mulvey from Portsmouth with us a couple hours prior to tip time, Division II championship game, Bishop Brady and Portsmouth. Charlie LaHoo, Loden Formicelli, Devon Wilson-Miles, 3 seniors on your squad. You're starting a couple of sophomores, Sean Parham and Joey Glenn, and then the freshman Cody Graham, and then you got LaHoo and Formicelli, one of the first guys off the bench, Devon. But, man, it's amazing how young your team is and how successful you guys have been this year so far. Do you ever kind of like sit there and say, man, how are we doing this with these young kids?
Well, to a degree, at the beginning, you just try to make the kids grow up. And at this point, Cody's just he's not a freshman at this point by any means. You grow after 4 months, it's like Joey really is a junior in my eyes. Sean's a junior, because it's like now they've had 2 years with me under their belt and in our program and with the kids and everything. But, I mean, the kids have done an unbelievable job. And I think the whole division, though, they just think every year that we're supposed to do this for some reason. Even in our town, we've heard lately, like, oh, yeah, you're back in the finals, like it's for granted. And it's like, it's not that easy. It's, and it's a tribute to the kids that will put in the work, because there's a lot of kids that wouldn't work like our guys work.
I was talking to Matalosa at one of the games, and he said you cannot underestimate how important it is to have the experience, to be a team that has been there before. Now, and I understand Sean didn't play too much last year, but Joey certainly did. Charlie certainly did. Loden was out on the floor. But do you feel like your kids are comfortable at Durham? I mean, it is kind of local, and they grew. Cody was a kid who grew up, watching George Sagranis and your son John play, and he went to those games. And do you sense that the kids are they're accustomed to it, and they're sort of comfortable at Durham?
Yeah, I didn't think, like, even the other night when we were down 13-2, I didn't attribute it that much to nerves, as just we weren't playing that well and shots weren't going in. And I'd be surprised. Devon's always a wild card, because it isn't his fault. He just gets so excited that none of us, including him, knows what he's going to do. So. The rest of them, I think, will be okay. I think there's always jitters. If you don't have jitters, you're not alive to play a game like that. And the crowd will be a lot bigger for our side today than it was the other night, which always adds more of the band and all that. But, I don't think it's jitters. What it really comes down up there, Dave, is that what I really believe in doing this for a while now up there is when you make shots, you settle. You can settle down as a team.
Yeah.
And when the ball doesn't go in, the pressure mounts. And so I we all talk about coaching, and you think you have some control over this and that, and up there you really don't. It's you've worked with the kids on both. Same with Cole, and he's worked with his kids, and they're going to go out and play, and the best kids that particular day are going to win the game. And that's what scares me about them, because they're really a little bit better. Their best players are a little bit better than we are. And, 6 years we've been there, 5 years we've been there, whoever had the best players that day won. So we got to really play well as a team to beat them.
When you guys won in 2012, it was Kamal Walker that really...
It was a Kamal Walker, Billy Lane show. There was nobody in the gym that could play them two kids.
Right.
In 2009, and, Johnny was the best player on the floor. In the years we lost to Milford, I mean, there was no question who had the best players on the floor.
Yeah.
So this group's pretty resilient. It's going to be, it's going to be interesting. I'm kind of excited to see how it unfolds, just to see what happens.
All right, I'm going to put you on the spot. McIsaac asked me this on the radio. Your son John's team was one of my all-time favorite teams, with Smiling Mike Barton and Zach Abrams and Mike Francoso and George Sagranis. If they play against Kamal and Billy's team, who wins that game? Who was the better team?
Well, now Kamal's off the charts. It's just for the record, Kamal. We went down and watched him play in his tournament. It was so exciting.
Endicott, right?
Yeah, he is so good right now. He's co-player of the year in his conference. He had an incredible year. But at that particular time, John's group was way better. They played way better teams. We had Billy. We had some role players. On Kamal's team. In fact, those guys played in the gym that year that Kamal won it. We brought them in, and it wasn't close.
That's what George said.
Yeah.
John goes, we beat them every day and twice on Sunday.
but Billy and Kamal, they wouldn't agree with that. So
They never do, right?
It's nice to be able to have those kind of arguments. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, and it's nice because what we do every Christmas break is we probably have 30 kids in the gym that come back and play pickup and trash talk, and with the young kids get to see it, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Well, this team right here and your teams over the next couple of years are going to have a chance to be in those conversations as well. Coach, we wish you the best of luck this afternoon. We'll see you out there on the floor in a couple of hours, and thanks so much for everything throughout the course of the season. And it's all over. Hard to believe it's all over in a few hours, huh?
Yeah, well, thank you, Pete, and thank you, Dave. Thanks for everything.
All right, Coach. We'll see you in a while.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Jim Mulvey from Portsmouth, one of the great coaches in New Hampshire. I mean, without question, one of the best.
Oh, no question. Yeah, if I had one game to win, it'd be he or Doc or maybe Buddy Trask, but those are the guys you want to. Yeah, he's tremendous, and that's going to be interesting to see what he does today. He's got something up his sleeve for Brady, so how they adjust is going to be fun to watch.
I was reading, I don't know who wrote the story. I think it was on Fosters.com this morning, and it had said something like Cole Etten, who was the coach of Bishop Brady, 24-year-old coach, might be 25 by now. But he was a sophomore on a 2007 team that lost to Portsmouth in the semis at UNH. So put that into perspective. That was 8 years ago. He was a sophomore in high school. So, and Jim Mulvey's in his 6th championship game in 9 years at Portsmouth.
Years. Yeah, I said he and Eric Saucier, the run those guys are on. Eric Saucier's right there too.
I'm really looking forward to this game. We will take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll talk about the other game I'm really looking forward to. Pinkerton and a Londonderry Division I championship. If you got to travel up Route 102 today, this afternoon around 3 o'clock or so, no problems. Easy sailing. Plenty of room both sides of the roadway. We'll have Coach Stanton on, Nate Stanton from Londonderry, when we return. The Hampshire High School Hoop Show. News Radio 610 and 96.7.
Welcome back to the best local coverage of New Hampshire high school basketball. The New Hampshire High School Hoop Show on News Radio 610 and 96.7.
Well, I don't think our next guest needed a rooster to wake him up this morning.
Oh, my God, that's awful.
I'm sure he sprung right out of bed because he knows it's Championship Saturday and his team is in it. Nate Stanton from Londonderry, the #1 seed, the undefeated Lancers, joins us on the phone. Did you need a rooster to wake you up this morning, Coach?
No.
No?
I was up early, like Christmas morning today.
All right, well, congratulations on getting there. And, why not play your rival for the championship, right, with Pinkerton and Londonderry?
Oh, yeah, you couldn't write a better script. It's awesome to, be the first team to make it to the championship. And, and then going against your rival just puts an extra bonus on it.
Is there just like a buzz in that town right now because it's Pinkerton? And obviously you guys are in the championship. That's enough to get everybody, riled up about it. But I mean, do you feel it around town? Is everybody just so excited for this?
Oh yeah, everyone is very excited, and I think a lot of people are going. I know we had practice yesterday, and everyone was calling the athletic office trying to get tickets and all that. So it's a good moment for Londonderry.
I know the cheerleading coach for Londonderry, Chelsea Murfitt, and she tells me that the cheerleaders can't even be there. They got a big competition today, so you guys are going cheerleaderless, but I think everybody else in Londonderry. And what you said about this being the first team to make it to the championship game, that's kind of hard to believe. And Londonderry's had some talent. They've had some decent teams over the years, but I mean, for the first time ever to make it to the championship, that's pretty impressive. That's rarefied air, so to speak.
Yeah, I didn't even know that. I know they never won it before, but I found out the other day that they never made it. So this is obviously a huge accomplishment. It's a very special group that's really put the time in all off season and this whole season every day, and they've been really focused and, have obviously a lot of adversity throughout the season and show that they have the will to win. So it's exciting. I'm excited for them.
I was sitting with, I had a blast during your game. I sat with Tim Goodrich, Jay McKenna, Jeff Holmes, all your colleagues up there watching the game. And I was saying to those guys, you guys were down, you cut it to 2. They'd really outplayed you for most of the game. Spalding played very, very well. And I said to Tim Goodrich, I said, I feel like if Londonderry gets up 2, I mean, they just get over that hump, they're going to cruise from there. And it really felt like that happened. Like, did you feel once you got ahead of them, like that everything just sort of, everyone sort of like relaxed and like did it feel that way?
Yeah, I think, I think we were down 12 at one point. And my guy they kept composure, and that's what they've done all year long. They have confidence in themselves. And then once we got a couple stops, in the middle of the third quarter there, then things started flowing, and we started playing, the way that we normally do. And yeah, you're right. I was very confident in them. I was just waiting for them to turn up the notch a little bit. I think, Spalding obviously did a very good job. That was their first time ever playing at UNH. Last year was this group's first playoff win ever against Salem in the first round. And so they were nervous, I think, in the first half, and then they kind of snapped out of it and went back to the way we play.
When you've been talking with your senior leaders on that team, and Cody Ball and Mark Corey and Joey Kwiatkowski, what's it been like with them? Kind of like as leaders of the team over the last few days as you get closer to this day. Have they really increased their just the way they're talking to the rest of their teams and their overall leadership? Have you seen that go up a notch over the last couple of days?
Yeah, I think, overall they've always led by example. And, I think they do an awesome job just keeping everyone kind of calm and loose. I mean, the practices have been loose, and that's when I know that they feel good. And, when they're fooling around a little bit, but then when it's time to get down to work, they're very focused, and they get the job done in practice. And that was the leadership. I remember when we were down 5 at the end of the third quarter, last game, Cody Ball was like, hey, we're not going out like this. And they all kind of came together as one. Even Jake Coleman has been a great leader for us as well. And, it's great to see. They're hungry, and they fight through a lot, and they want it bad.
So what does Pinkerton do best? What having seen them a lot, played against them, what do you think that they do better than anything else?
Well, I think, they definitely have a lot of scorers. Gio is tough to keep in front. And then when he does penetrate or he does beat you middle, that's when the alley-oops start because our help side comes up to help them. I think their zone defenses, they're very, they always have a lot of length to them, and they're big. So when they do that, the 2-1-2 and the 1-3-1, they switch it up a lot. It's tough to find those open gaps. And then on the defense, we just got to get defensive stops. I think, they want us to take the quick shots, off that zone, or obviously contested shots. So, we just have to play smart against them.
When you think about this being the last game for a player like Cody Ball, who has meant so much to this program and has really blossomed into a great player, got himself a scholarship going to St. Anselm College, and you've heard about some of the performances, the all-time performances in these championship games. I mean, Pinkerton will point to Zach Matthew in that tremendous game in 2010 against Winnicott. It was a double overtime game. I called the game on a different radio station that I was working at the time, and I actually, the other night when I was out at Buffalo Wild Wings, I ran into one of the Pinkerton players who was on that team, the kid Ryan Williams. And I was like, oh, yeah, you were on that Zach Matthew team. And that kid scored 37 points and broke the record, or I think maybe tied the record for most points in a championship game. And he just carried that team. Cody Ball's that type of player. I mean, I'm sure you would not be surprised at all if he comes out and drains 8 3-pointers and leads you guys to victory today.
No, it's to make my job a little easier. I think, Cody's always ready. Even if he puts up 15 points, a little below his average or whatnot, I mean, he does things to just get the job done and get us the win. He's so level-headed. Obviously, the last couple games, the first half hasn't been the best for him scoring-wise, and then he just comes out in the second half and he regains focus. And, even against Spalding, he got those 2 big steals to kind of change the momentum. I think scoring-wise, today he's really, he obviously wants to do well, but we have so many other contributors as well that step up. But yeah, I'm not worried about Cody. I think this is an exciting time for him. Obviously, he will be missed last night around 9 o'clock, I realized that was our last practice. So it kind of hit me. And so today, I think, they want to go out on a good note, and they're going to give it everything they have.
All right, Coach. Well, what time? So what's the itinerary? I mean, your game tips at 3. What's your plan?
Why don't you just head over to Pinkerton and just play them over there? Why drive all the way to Durham?
It would have been nice to have it at the Verizon Wireless Center, huh?
This is like when Monadnock played Hanover in the final one year, and I'm like, why don't you just go over there and play? Why drive over to Durham? Yeah.
It's probably. I mean, we had a team dinner last night after practice and had a good time, and we'll have a little shoot around this morning and get something to eat, and then we'll get on the bus around 12:45. So the biggest thing with them is just kind of keeping routine today. Kind of get up early and get the day going and stay focused all day.
All right, Coach. Well, we really appreciate the time. We appreciate everything all year. And, hey, your team could be dancing the undefeated dance with me this afternoon. So best of luck to you, and enjoy the game. You got to enjoy this type of stuff as a coach. I know you got to be into it and take care of business. But like you said, last night you kind of realized this was the last practice. So enjoy it. Enjoy the moment.
I will. Thanks, guys, for everything. It's definitely an awesome moment, and we're gonna enjoy every second of it.
All right, Nate Stanton from Londonderry, his team jumping on the bus in a couple of hours and going to take on their rivals for the
Somebody's going
championship.
to be dancing with Pete Terrier today. Two teams are going to be dancing with Pete Terrier today. You got a lot of dancing to do today.
I showed my wife the video of me dancing with. It was probably Pelham. Yeah, because it was the undefeated dance.
The undefeated dance.
And she's like, "You're a dork." Is what she said.
I think that's the best part of it. They love it. I love the fact that I don't know. It's just fun. Like after the game, like the Brady kids were funny. Like they just line up. They're like, "Where's Pete Terrier?" Like after they win, and it's gonna be fun. Two champions today. It's gonna be fun.
Well, if Pinkerton wins, I'm gonna try and get to the bottom of the sausage story, because you probably heard it the other night when they were coming off out of the win against Nashua North, and they were rolling down the stairs at UNH at Lundholm Gym, heading down towards their locker room. They were like chanting something about sausage. All I could make was sausage. And I was like, I said something to them when in the interview. I was like, I don't know, you guys are talking about sausage or something. And they all started chuckling. So if Pinkerton wins, we're going to find out what the sausage thing is all about. We'll take a time out, and we'll come back, and we'll get our thoughts. We'll bring Isaiah Chappelle back in, and we'll get his thoughts on these two games and what it's like playing in these type of atmospheres as we continue with the New Hampshire High School Hoop Show, News Radio 610 and 96.7.
These guys know their high school basketball. It's the New Hampshire High School Hoop Show with Pete Terrier and Dave Haley on News Radio 610 and 96.7.
And today is what it's all about, championship games. The final two champions crowned in the state of New Hampshire in high school hoops, Division I and Division II. You got Portsmouth, you got Bishop Brady for D2 championship. And in the D1 championship, it's Londonderry and Pinkerton. Let's, I don't know, predictions or whatever, or breakdown. I got Dave Haley from nhsportspage.com. We got Isaiah Chappelle from Sunapee here, and he wants to do what we do. I mean, we might have a future member of the nhsportspage.com staff here, Isaiah. But I think he's got another year of high school still, and then some college.
So you're coming back. So you're going to play at Sunapee next year.
Yeah, I'm going to.
You're announcing it live on the show. He's coming back.
There you go.
Unfinished business.
D4 coaches all over that just went, man.
Yeah.
So, Isaiah, you get a chance, not a lot of chance to go and see D1 or D2 competition, but you do. And as you said, you watch the videos on nhsportspage.com. What sticks out at you about, let's start with D2. Portsmouth and Bishop Brady. I'm sure you know all about the players, and you probably even played with or against the Bell brothers at one point. What sticks out about you in that particular game? What do you want to see most?
I don't know. I mean, it can go like either way. I'm not really sure. I mean, I guess it just depends on who has a better game and the depth, because they all have pretty good players, really good stars. So, I mean, whoever's just feeling it that day, I feel like it could go either way. I'm not really sure.
How would you like to play with a guy like Jordan Bell? I mean,
it'd be awesome. Yeah, he would find me all the time. I could find him. He can score all the time. He's a great player.
What's it like with you and Matt? You guys have been best friends forever, pretty much?
Since first grade, yeah.
So, I mean, it's got to be pretty cool playing with and he being that good. I mean, he's a tremendous player. So I mean, it's got to be a lot of fun on the floor. It's like you guys are brothers out there, right?
Oh yeah, he just knows where I am all the time. I know where he is all the time. It's just we have a connection. It's awesome.
He knows when you're heating up, and likewise. Yeah,
exactly.
You guys were that Goffstown game was fun. I'm interested to see how they cover Brendan Johnson because he had 32 in the first meeting. I'll be interested to see if Devon Wilson-Miles gets that assignment because I think his length could kind of give Brendan Johnson some problems.
He's got to stay out of foul trouble though because Brendan, has the ability to create contact.
Well,
and Devon does get into foul trouble, so that you're going to have to use a few different guys on him. Isaiah, what about the size? Londonderry doesn't have a ton of size. I mean, Mark Corey, I think, is about 6'4", 6'5", but he's more of a perimeter player. Other than that, they don't really have size. Kwiatkowski's a big man, but he's 6'2". Pinkerton's got size. Yeah. I mean, 6'9", and Fox 6'6", but he can jump out of the gym. Godin's 6'5". I mean, what do you think about when you see size like that on an opposing team?
It's pretty intimidating. I mean, they're pretty big. They have really good guards too, so they kind of have like the whole all-around game. I feel like you can't really guard them on the inside or on the perimeter. So
did you see the highlights of Gio just draining threes the other night?
Yeah.
And the way he was doing it just so casually way behind the line.
Yeah.
He's a special player.
Yeah, you get up on him, he's going to go around you. You lay off him, he's going to hit that shot. So he was tremendous the other night, and that's going to be interesting. The thing about Pinkerton is, I wrote this in the preview, like you want them to just pump it down low and score in the post, but they don't really score through the post. A lot of them is dump down passes or alley-oops and so forth. I think where their size really comes in is on that press. They're able to get their hands on a lot of balls, their length, and they're able to get their hands on that. And I thought Peter Rosinski made a nice, move late in that game to go that 2-1-2 when North really needed to get a shot off. They couldn't go through the high post to try to find guys on the wing because of the move he made. So, second time around for both these teams. We happen to film both games, and that's interesting. The adjustments the second time around are kind of fun to watch.
You were talking about, I think this was maybe the other night when we were at UNH, if Londonderry wins and finishes this unbeaten season, there is still that little asterisk of the holiday tournament, the loss to the Pelham Pythons. Can we concoct a plan that we get Londonderry and Pelham to play each other in a pseudo state championship game to decide it all once and for all?
I love the fact that the pseudo
charity. Let's do a charity game.
The pseudo state championship game between Pelham and Londonderry was played in Massachusetts. That's my favorite part.
In late December, yeah.
Yeah. And with a shot clock. I think that game was like 88-84 in overtime.
No, it was 90-87 in double overtime.
Double overtime.
Yeah.
Both of those teams was welcome another shot at one another, and they played some pretty intense fall league games against each other. I think Londonderry beat them on a little bit of controversy at the end of that. So those two teams were pretty evenly matched. So it's something else when a D3 team is that good.
All right, guys, it's all the time we have. Isaiah, didn't this go by fast? I mean,
by really fast.
And imagine making like $100 to do that. That'd be a great future. So I strongly encourage you to pursue it, and you're more than welcome anytime in here to come shadow us, so to speak.
Thank you.
All right, for John Kesty from NHSportsPage.com, for Isaiah's mother, Jolene Chappelle, for Isaiah Chappelle, for Dave Haley, my producer, Jeremy Mahaney. My name is Pete Terrier. Enjoy the basketball. And don't forget to check out all the highlights on NHSportsPage.com. It's Championship Saturday.